Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning into another Supatease video. And Dragonflight Season 4 is just around the corner, and we're going to be covering whether or not it is worth it to play. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, then smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, with the announcement of Season 4, this does mean that it is the conclusion in order to get the top 100 guilds for your title in the raid, in order to get your Mythic Plus end of season titles, in order to get your end of season PvP rewards. It's gonna be a very exciting time to be playing on the top end competitive level at the end of a season. It's honestly one of my favorite times to play, and then leading into the beginning of a new season means that it's going to be a fresh start. So if you're just coming in right off the rip, you're gonna have a great opportunity to be able to catch up your characters and get right into the action with your friends and take on basically all of the raids that were previously available this expansion in a faded experience. Now, one of the main negative feedbacks I've seen so far for this patch is that there is apparently so far no additional affix that is being added to this content that is effectively being recycled at this point. So you will be experiencing the raids likely as they were originally, but you will be able to go back and get currencies that allow you to buy really powerful trinkets from those patches, eras, and combine them together and mix them into new builds and gear opportunities, which does sound like a lot of fun in terms of personal customization. And if you're a returning player, they are going to be completely revamping the level 4 or season 4 dungeons. They're going to be completely squishing them down. They're going to be making heroic dungeons more relevant in terms of your overall power. They're also going to be making Mythic 0 dungeons more relevant in terms of your power. So if you're a solo player and spamming heroic dungeons, you're going to get some pretty valuable gear, and Mythic Zeros are going to be a lot of fun for getting a higher increased volume of gear. And then Mythic Plus is not going to be scaling so far out of control. It looks like they're going to be scaling Mythic 10 or Mythic 20s down to the equivalent of a Mythic 10 at this point. So squishing everybody together means that you're going to have more players in order to kind of pull from in terms of making your groups. Solo players are going to benefit from this. I think overall it's going to be a really well received and positive change, whether you're playing, you know, at the beginner level solo player all the way up to the most advanced level player. For me personally, as a main PvP player, to get into Mythic Plus, I'd honestly have to see something like a solo queue experience. For me, it's about getting into LFG, finding people who are willing to take somebody who has limited experience in PvP gear. It just takes too long for me to get through that process. If there was a solo queue experience for it, I would be down in terms of trying it. Definitely a lot more than going through the initial hurdles that I have seen. But if you're a main PvE player, I have seen a lot of positives towards this keystone change overall. In Season 4, they're going to be bringing back basically all of the dungeons that have happened in Dragonflight. It's going to be the Ruby Life Pools, Brackenhide Hollow, the Nokud Offensive, the Uldaman Tier, Legacy of Tyr, Neltharis, the Azur Vault, Halls of Infusion, and the Alagathur Academy. So if you're a fan of the Dragonflight dungeons, you're going to be able to run through all of those at the same time. The affixes are going to be scaled down appropriately. I've seen a lot of feedback that it has been well received, that they've reduced the number of affixes to basically 2 at a time at lower key levels, and those are going to be scaled down appropriately to their reward level. So that experience is still going to be great as a Mythic Plus player. It does mean that there's going to be Season 4 rewards to go after, a new Vicious mount, new Mythic Plus Keystone Master mount, obviously a new Gladiator mount, which I think a lot of people are talking about, and we haven't really talked about PvP specifically. But with the changes that are coming through into PvP, with the set bonuses coming through and the improvements that have been made up to this point, we're likely looking at a pretty interesting season. The overall item levels are going up. From what I understand, it looks like it's going to be going somewhere between 528 to maybe 535. I don't know if that's with the PvP gear scaling specifically, but it's getting really high, and that could do some crazy things to a lot of classes that historically scale really well with stats. I'm thinking something like Affliction Warlock and Damage Over Time effect classes. These are classes that towards the end of an expansion do tend to scale better, so there are good opportunities for these specs to have a better shot in this period of time in this patch if you're going to be looking to play one of those specializations. So I'm very curious to see how that unfolds. A lot of classes are having their set bonuses completely revamped to previous versions, and this is going to be a hit or a miss depending on what spec you are. I've seen some specs like Resto Shaman that are probably going to be worse off for this, at least when it comes to PvP. Destruction Warlocks are going to be one that's likely going to be a little bit worse off, but something like a Balance Druid is actually going to be benefiting pretty well from going back to the Season 1 set bonus. So there's that complete mix-up, and then we don't even know what's going to happen in terms of balance changes after that fact, with item levels scaling up as high as they are now, whether you're going from Raid Finder or Mythic or PvP specifically. So I'm curious to see how the class balance is going to play out. If you're somebody who's looking for that seasonal end game, I think that you're going to be enjoying this patch, right? Like if you're enjoying Mythic Plus right now, I can't see why you wouldn't be enjoying it the next patch, with the way they're switching all the gearing around to be able to catch up easier and get into the mix a bit better, and combining all these new builds with previous existing trinkets that weren't scaled as powerfully and mixing them all together. Sounds like a very exciting time. And then for PvP, if we continue the trend that we had earlier in the expansion in terms of class balance tuning, I feel like Season 4 has a really good opportunity to be a very balanced and fun season. Even right now in Season 3, at least in solo shuffle, I think the experience is really fun. I think that some changes specifically could be made to PvP, obviously, to improve the experience. MMR being as stifled and low as it is not a good incentivizing driver in terms of getting players to play. And another thing is dampening. I think that dampening at lower ratings needs to be less effective. I think players jumping in for the first time are probably just immediately dying and don't even know what's going on, so it's a bit unnecessary to make those players do 30% reduced healing as soon as a match is started. So this is why I presented the idea of basically making dampening like a Mythic Plus affix, so that at lower ratings, dampening is less effective, giving beginning players more time to actually press abilities and play the game. And then as you push up in higher rankings, it scales up to where it is right now, so that the higher level players aren't just kind of sitting around waiting for healing to be reduced in terms of being able to be able to end a match. I think those two core changes, and they keep on track with the balance changes that they've been going through, could make Season 4 one of the best PvP seasons we have ever had. So I am definitely very interested to see if they are able to pull that off moving forward. But other than that, that's basically my assessment for this. If you're somebody who wants to just get into the patch, this is a great time. Beginning of a patch is always a great time. World PvP is going to be super lit for this period of time, because the World PvP gear is very desirable at the beginning of a season. So if you're somebody looking for those World PvP engagements and you want to have meaningful rewards coming from that content, this is really the best time to do it. I honestly have had the best time doing Dragonflight World PvP, so I'm actually very excited for that. I'm probably going to skip out on like the mass group farming where people like sit on a graveyard with a massive raid group, but I'm just going to be looking for skirmish battles while I'm in my solo shuffle queue. So you're gonna be able to fill that solo shuffle queue time with some really epic world PvP experiences, which I've got videos on my channel if you'd like to check out. I can link to one at the end of this video. Overall, I like those three kind of core pillar changes to PvP. I think that could make Season 4 one of the best seasons that we have ever had, and Mythic Plus is looking like it's probably going to be one of the best seasons we have ever had. And in terms of rating, if you liked the Dragonflight raids, there's no chance that you're not going to like Season 4. It's a little bit disappointing that there isn't an affix. I'm wondering maybe if they've snuck it in, possibly like Season of Discovery style. They just don't want people to know what it is, so they have to figure it out on the go. I'm thinking it's probably more on the line of they're trying to get the War Within out going here. They still got a lot of hero talents, I think, that are still left to be revealed, which we'll be covering on this channel, and it's probably just not going to happen. But if you're a seasonal endgame player, it's going to be a great time. Hoping those PvP changes, some PvP changes will come through to make a better experience. And other than that, that's my breakdown. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.